Hopefully you can hear me this time. It's literally been 1 week since the last video, and I added polo wraps today to see if that would help with some hindquarter stability when I rode. My best laid plans last week were foiled. We had rain every single day. So this is literally Ozzy's second training ride. He had a week of working in the slop, which the new clay in the arena, when it rains heavy, it gets pretty slick. So I stayed on the long reins, on a small circle, at the walk, in the halter without tack. So today I just gave him 5 minutes literally of walking to the right in the bridle with the saddle on, with the leg wraps on, to see how he would do. This bit of clay that's on him, he managed to just sort of rub the hair off of his neck on something, and then you'll see flecks of clay on both hocks. And I've been slathering a clay poultice on his hocks every day because even the walking on the long reins started to get a little bit of fluid buildup on those hocks. So I'm just keeping a clay poultice on it all the time. I'll refresh it after our ride today. But this is literally his second ride after just working on the long reins this week. And so he still may really root on the bit and push on the bit, but I'm just going to see how he does. He's a little bit more stable from the work on the long reins, and maybe adding the polo wraps helps too. But I'm just going to put him on sort of that same figure 8. I'll show you at least, I guess, 15 minutes of the warm-up, maybe 20. Whoa, will depend on how he does. There's that right hind. So he is a little more stable under the saddle, a little bit more stable through the hindquarters. Still a work in progress, and the amount that he wants to sort of push on the bit or lean on the bit is why I'm using turns, keeping him level and trying to keep the neck relatively straight on the turns, and just letting him stabilize that back and hindquarter, get a little bit of engagement on each tight turn, but nothing too demanding. As I feel him get more stable under the saddle, he'll probably quit the rooting and the pulling on the reins. That's just him falling forward. And so I'm not going to hold him up with the bit. I want him to find the stability using the figure 8, find that stability through his hindquarter and back. And like I said, this is literally his second training ride because of all the rain we had this week. And so I didn't spend a long warm-up on the long reins today, just 5 minutes to sort of see how he was with the tack on again. And we got straight to it. So I'm going to try to ride him for the full hour today and see how long he holds up, or at least 45 minutes. Last time he kind of got tired around the 30-minute mark, so I'll see what I get. And I don't know if you can see on the camera if he looks any steadier. He's still pretty wobbly. He's still pretty unstable through the back and hindquarter, but better than the last training ride I did on him. So a little improvement from a week of long reins. And like I said, he's definitely getting more stable and a lot happier, even on the small circles on the long reins. And it's challenging enough for him. He got a little bit of fluid on the hocks, so that's why I started the clay poultice, and I just put it on once or twice a day and just keep it on him without wrapping, and he's still getting his turnout. I'm not restricting his motion, I'm just trying to pull some of that swelling out. There, good boy. There's the right hind leg stabilizing a little on the turn. I know, it's hard. So like I said, I just wanted you to sort of see where we're at in this training ride. And this figure 8 with the neck straight on a loose rein worked for him pretty well last time. It was challenging, but not too challenging. So I'm probably going to stick with just this simple pattern today and hopefully build up a little more stability through the back and the hind quarter. Hopefully get a little bit less of the ripping on the reins. But like I said, that is a direct result of all the shakiness and instability I feel in the saddle. So until the back and hindquarters get more stable on both directions, that's going to continue. So when they sort of push on the bit that hard, there's no point trying to use rein resistance just yet. So instead of rein resistance, straight and level on a tight figure 8 there helps him place the hind legs a little bit deeper on every turn until he can start to find more stability with those strides. Yeah, so I'll just keep going. That's almost 5 minutes. I'll videotape about 15 minutes and then that should be a quicker upload. We can just kind of watch him progress as I ride. And like I said, all I'm trying to do is get a little bit deeper placement of the inside hind on the turn, get a little bit of widening of the inside front on the turn, and use my body to keep the back level and stable, and hopefully not have to bend the neck to get the turn. And this direction to the left, he likes to fall forward a little harder. So you can see the sort of ripping of the reins has a little more energy when I go left compared to right. But I'm just not going to give him anything to lean on. I'm not going to give him any resistance. He'll try pulling the reins and pushing on the bit about 10,000 times, but it's not going to be there to help him stabilize or hold him up. I'm not going to give him the rein resistance in order to stabilize on his front end, which is what he wants to do. So no other major changes this week. He's eating his diet. I had to cut back his food just a little bit because he put on quite a bit of weight and he was getting quite a bit of energy. He's still getting all of the supplements. He's working every day. The polo wraps are new, but they can often help when you have a really unstable hindquarter. I'm not bothering to wrap the front legs, even though the weight's on the front legs. I have the polo wraps on the hind legs, and I prefer them over boots because I can get a better fit. But I have the polo wraps on the hind legs because they can help with just stabilizing the legs when you're building up more engagement or more stability behind. So it's nice to see too, without much of a warm-up today, because he had long reins every day for a week for an hour. Without much of a warm-up today, he's just kind of easy to get on and ride and start working through some of his learned habits and some of his imbalances. And he's one of those horses you certainly can't have a tight hold on the rein because he'll rip you right out of the saddle. He's pretty good at rooting on the bit. And more leverage won't help. He'll just drop the pole and hold in the neck. The problem is back here. The problem is the instability under the saddle and the hindquarter. So right now he can rip away. It's not going to get him anywhere. And I'm just gently using the reins, alternating left and right, making sure I don't have pressure on two reins at the same time. And as I'm alternating left and right, I'm sort of feeling the alignment of the lower neck to the upper back. And then I need it like here, a little bit of right rein to turn, a little bit of left rein to try to keep the neck straight during the turn. And that really helps him learn how to adduct and abduct all four legs. If you have a straight spine, pole to tail, and a level back, then the legs have to adduct and abduct in order to make the turn. And that's where he's a bit tight. So he might not be entirely comfortable or very limber at first, but it's a work in progress. And it's actually a more accurate figure eight. He's following my seat a little bit better than last time because we're getting some progress with the stability. So he's not kind of slinging himself all over the place. The energy is moving a little bit straighter forward with a little more stability. I need longer reins. And I'm hoping he can go for a full 45, 50 minutes today. I'd like to start, if he doesn't kind of poop out and lose forward, I'd like to get more riding time on him because I think it'll help build up the muscle a little faster than the long reins. And I'm sort of glad it ended up being a happy accident that we had so much rain last week, because I think an extra week just walking on the long reins really helped him stabilize a bit more. It wasn't a lot of pressure on him, so he started to look forward to his work sessions a bit more rather than feeling really challenged. He was feeling the benefit and was pretty keen to come out and go to work. So we'll see what he says after today. So there, where he holds his neck a little more level, that's coinciding with a momentary improvement in the stability under the saddle. That's what I'm looking for in this exercise. So when you see the neck lengthen, but he doesn't plunge downward into long and low, that's the dynamic result of him finding more stability through the back. Oh, there goes the left shoulder. Through the back and hindquarter, which is where it should be. And he just had kind of a release on the left shoulder. We'll see what he thinks about that. That little shoulder clunk is just a change in muscle tone, but it feels like they step in a hole. Yeah, there the back gets a little more stable. So you won't see his neck long and level, probably very often for the first several training rides. But I'm getting a step like just there. I get another good step. The stability comes through the saddle. It's a little bit crooked, but you'll see the neck stays long, but he quits plunging forward into long and low. That's what you get from the hindquarter stability and just a little tiny bit more engagement that these turns are requiring from him. And I'm also letting him pick his own speed. I'm not really trying to influence the speed. So if he halts, I'll put my legs on and ask him to walk forward again. But in the walk, if he chooses to walk a little fast, or he chooses to walk a little slow, or even if he chooses to walk really slow, they often have to do that as they're learning to keep the engagement and stabilize all of this side-to-side motion under the saddle and through the hindquarters. So some of them literally sort of carefully take one step at a time. So if it gets to be that slow, that's actually him learning to use his back and hindquarter very differently. He's a bit slow, but not really slow. So I just try not to influence the speed. My legs are in contact, but so far I haven't had to give him a leg aid. He just kind of keeps moving, which is nice. Yeah, so far he doesn't feel fatigued. He's got plenty of energy. He's got plenty to think about. And I'm not going to make the pattern any more complicated. He's definitely not stable enough to start asking for trot under saddle. And I didn't really get to work on trot this rainy week on the long reins. So my plan from here going forward is a little more trot work on the long reins as his warm-up, and then riding him 30 to 40 minutes. So I'll keep the long rein warm-up 20 to 30 minutes. I'll ride him 30 to 40 minutes at the walk. So just a little bit of trot work every day on the long reins, and then more riding unless he starts to really show me that he can't handle it, which would be too much swelling in the hocks or defensive behavior under saddle. Right now he's struggling physically, but he's not the least bit defensive. He's doing everything I ask as best as he can. And like I said, that pushing on the bit is a little bit of a habit. It's a little bit of him looking for me to hold him up and stabilize his front end. So little by little, with every turn around the figure eight, we're just going to get more stable, more balanced, get the hang of things little by little, and allow his body to change at the rate that he can handle. Okay, so I don't think I need to make this video too long. Let me stop it here and then I can upload it quickly, but this is pretty much the second training ride and this is what it's going to look like. Pretty boring to watch, but I've got at least another 35 minutes to see how long he can go today. So that's it for now.